Two-time Hall of Fame inductees, Brent Godarzi and Marty Young. Back-to-back #1 trucking firm in the nation. Back-to-back best attorney and best law firm in East Texas.
Hello, Buckeye Nation, and welcome to the Gilmer Buckeye Coaches Show. I'm Todd Robinson, your host, with the head coach and athletic director of the 1-0 Gilmer Buckeyes, Mr. Alan Metzel. Alan, interesting night. It seemed like, as it always has, adversity came, but it was adversity continually got overcome over and over again. I don't know how many times that the black flag can stand up and stop a team when we need to stop them. But it was certainly good to see, certainly be good to be 1-0. And I know you got a lot of things that you, I'm sure, want to work on, but a lot of things that you see that you can really build on going forward in this playoff run and getting ready for the rest of the district contest.
For sure, for sure. You know, we've been discussing on these segments where we've needed more attack. You know, and what is attack? Well, attack is when you've taken that blow and then you respond. And at times we've taken a blow and not responded, you know, at different times this season. Well, not the other night. The other night we had, you know, all kinds of adversity. Many times it was self-inflicted, you know, but we were put in places that were very difficult, and the team was scratching and clawing and fighting to flip that script, you know, whether it was they score, to start the game off with a turnover. You know, 3 plays later, they're trying to kick a field goal. What do? We block it. You know, that was huge. And we've got some of these that we'll talk about, show them on the video here in just a second. You know, then you go a little bit later, they hit a big pass. Well, then we come back and respond and go down and score. You know, whenever things happen, we have a special teams gap. We miss a tackle and the guy runs it back to the 1, and our defense rises up from the 1-yard line and steals the ball back. You know, those things are huge. Those are huge. Blocking an extra point, twice stopped 2-point conversions. You know, we got a 2-point conversion. There were things in this game that you can build on. And that's what's exciting moving forward. And we're going to need it because we're about to play 2 really good teams.
Yeah. Well, I thought, looking at the halftime statistics, I wasn't sure I was watching a Gilmer game because, first of all, we were almost 3-1 in time of possession. We actually had 3 drives that were longer than 11 plays, all of them longer than 70 yards, and one of them 98 yards where we went down and scored. So we controlled the football. We absolutely dominated statistically. But as you said, it was all those little things that were adverse that came at us, and we had an answer almost for every single one of those things that happened. And it was good to see the guys really stand up and kind of impose their will when, quite frankly, they won the game on paper. But it was good to see that all those other little things didn't pop up and kind of tilt the scoreboard. So I thought all in all, it when you looked at the stats, it could have been a little more lopsided. But given all the craziness that happened in the game, and I'm sure we'll talk about all that, it was like, well, I'm glad that things landed where they did.
I agree. Yeah, and it's been a bizarre year, you know, all the way back to the Pine Tree game. We talked about, things happen in this game that you never see, you know.
Yeah, starting with your one offensive starter that breaks his leg in warm-ups.
Yeah. It's been a bizarre year. It really has. And I think when those things happen, you know, many times people outside or whatever, we have this expectation of a team or whatever, and every team is unique to that year. You know, you have who you have, you are who you are. You know, some years you're not coming in as the #1 team in the state, you know. However, we still have the high expectation to get there. So it's not like, oh yeah, well, we're not that. No, we're going to work to that. That's the journey. And, you know, not everybody understands, I think, that it doesn't just happen. You don't just go, well, I'd like to be that good. No, it takes work, and it takes failure and overcoming failure. It takes becoming a team, and those things take time.
Yeah, especially when you have 11 new starters on offense and all these sophomores and a lot of guys that have not played in that position.
Right.
You know, when I counted the other night, you basically have, I would say, 4 guys who had kind of been through that 2023 time period when they were young sophomores. That team certainly went through a process.
Correct.
If you really, everybody remembers Jerry's World and trophies and all that kind of stuff, but nobody remembers the first 5 games. It wasn't a whole lot different than this 5 games. With the honest truth,
really wasn't. And so we're on our journey, and the guys are buying into this. And what's awesome is it's not like they're buying into it because we won the other night. No, they did that 2 weeks ago. When we were in our open week, they were here. They worked their tails off. When they were getting into each other even then, and which put us in a position to have a great week of practice last week, which put us in a position to overcome some of this adversity that we dealt with. So anyway,
it was nuts. So I know. Let's jump to the highlights because it might take us 3 hours to get through it. We'll go through it quickly, but as Joe Dodd said after the game, he said, I think that's the craziest game I've seen in 30 years. It was pretty crazy.
It was pretty crazy. So we've turned the ball over. They got the ball 3 plays later. Here they are. They're lining up. They've got a really good kicker.
They had a really good kicker.
He's very talented. And so here we are putting some pressure on, coming up the middle. Here's Tyler and some of the other defensive line guys, Trey Lee and some of those guys who are going to give great effort here, blow through the line, block the field goal. Trey grabs the ball and they tackle him. But I mean that turned the momentum back. Where
it was just last week standing right here that you said that's going to turn it. We didn't know it was going to be first series of the next game.
Exactly. When we were talking about blocking an extra point against Brenham.
There it is.
There you go. And those small things, they factor in later. People can smirk and go, oh yeah, whatever. No, that right there is the reality of it. And being able to stay in the moment all year long, wherever you are, stay in the moment, play the next play. Well, right there, that's what they did, and it flips the momentum back. So great job by the front. Coaches scheming up the block and put us in a good position. Now here we are. We drive down the field offensively. They've scored. We're answering now. We drive down, get inside the 10 here, and they're bringing people up inside, and so we try and get Zaid out on the edge, put him in a position where he can run or throw. They play Zaid. He tosses it over to Solomon. Touchdown.
Yeah, we've seen that play, a couple of hundred times, I think, inside the red zone from different Buckeye quarterbacks over the years. But you get the feeling that Zaid's starting to settle into that role. Of course, he was our leading running back last year and a backup quarterback, so it's not like he's not played the position. Right. But I think Friday night was the first time that he literally played the position, and not just in terms of play to play, but in between the plays. The way he led, the way he actually took some things over. Of course, he's got that personality.
Oh, no doubt. This team, they follow him.
Yeah.
And have since they were all in elementary school. And that's why he's running the show. It's because they follow him. And he's just going to keep moving up as the position becomes more natural for him. And he has a great skill set. He's a dealer. He's one of those guys that can throw the ball, run the ball. He's like a point guard. And so that's how we.
Well, especially to see him come out in the first play of the game from scrimmage is a turnover.
Yeah.
And him just to go
handle it.
Guys got it, got his back, like you just saw. Let's go on down the road, and it's like it never happened.
That's exactly right. That's impressive. That is impressive. So we flip to the defensive side here. We put our secondary on some islands to make sure.
Very much so.
Very much so. Now, we had a concerted effort to stop the run. So just know, if I'm not mistaken, they finished like with 20 yards.
They were negative 40 at halftime if you include all the backwards passing and the sacks, which was phenomenal. And the way that you dominate a game. And we dared them to throw, but I can say that our corners held up.
They held up. And, when you do that, they're going to hit some. They're going to hit a pass or two. But here you see Chris Pinckney here. He's matched up man on man. Watch him follow his guy. He's sitting right in his hip pocket. The ball comes. Great pick right there. I mean, that's great anticipation. You're seeing some of these guys really grow up in their ability to play man coverage. And when you can do that in the back end, it allows you to put more people in the box and really put pressure on people up front. So really proud of Chris stepping up and some of these other guys as well.
Well, and I also think having guys, we talked about it a little bit during the coaches luncheon, by the way, Wednesdays at noon out at the country club, of just having guys back in their comfortable home spot. And I thought it really, really showed up Friday night.
No doubt, especially that defensive line.
Yes.
You're starting to see the front line the way we envisioned it coming into the year. You know, the D line, and they're really beginning to take over. They're all in their spots. You know, where we were having to grab guys and put them at linebacker due to injuries and so forth. And so right now, not only do we have the front four, but we've got the guys that are backing them up and they're in the rotation. And so when they need a breather, we're putting in a guy who is a solid player who's been in there and been in varsity games. So that should do nothing but improve. And we have hopefully a few other guys that will come back within the next few weeks.
Yeah, we had 15 guys out the previous week, and you said I think we had about 9 of those guys get back on Friday night. It showed.
Yeah, it did. It really helped our depth. So here, again, black flag defense. You see Pittsburgh here running an RPO, just like we do. You know, they've got a scheme, run scheme with a pass scheme. And so the quarterback's attempting to throw the ball, but you're going to see both ends, Davion King and Jet Bates, come off the ends and get right on him. This is a big third down play, and they end up having to punt as a result.
Yeah, they were behind the chains all night long.
It really put them in a bind, and really pleased with the way these guys played. So
yeah, I think we won first down, 17 out of maybe 19 times when it was. You measure it on second down, but when you see it's 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 16, you know that those guys up front are doing a great job.
Absolutely. They're shutting it down. So speaking of adversity, we had a scenario where Pittsburgh runs the kickoff back, and they're down at the 2-yard line. And I want to say this, Amari Garrett ran the guy down. And many times that gets overlooked. Something like that, finishing a play, not just going, well, he broke it and, letting the guy go score. He ran the guy down and got him down at the 2. And so now they have to run a play. Well, you try and make them make the next play. And that's exactly what we did. And so you see here, Tyler Hagler gets penetration, gets on the quarterback, rips the ball out of his hands. And now you have a 325-pound man running down the field with the ball amazingly well, quite frankly. Hey,
I cannot wait to see the big man relay when track season comes. There's
go.
A lot of football to play between here and there.
You got to watch it again. We got to run it again. That's just awesome.
Well, just
look at that guy.
The mentality of not in my house, you are not going to get in my end zone,
right? And
not just stop him, which he absolutely stopped him dead to rights. But to think, give me the ball, that's mine.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, we're snapping the ball in their territory.
Right.
Talk about a flip. I mean, that turned out to be a 14-point flip right
correct,
there.
Because we're about to score just a few plays later. Right here, they're playing their corner up pretty tight on Trace. And so we like the matchup, and we're going to send him deep. Zaid does an awesome job of being in rhythm, getting the ball up. Trace sets the guy up, beats him to the outside. Beautiful throw right on his outside shoulder, right in the end zone. And I want to do this as well. So here we are, and I had a person say, hey, make sure you pointing out our linemen in this thing too, which, you can't accomplish this play without our guys getting on everybody. Beautiful job here of setting up a throwing platform. And so you can see our guys, each one having their gap, running back steps up, fullback steps up in a max protection here. Look at the pass protection you have here. And now you can step up. He's able to be in rhythm and make a good throw. So never want to forget these guys that are giving us the time to get the ball out and put it where it needs to be.
Yeah, everybody watches the ball, and it was nice to see Trace kind of come on and have the kind of game he had following the kind of game that Solly had last week.
Right.
And, of course, you got the young sophomore Gage out there that has got great hands and first down after first down after first.
Absolutely.
Blocked
he was
his
moving
tail
the
off,
chains.
regardless of who threw what penalty. I won't say much more than that, but he always blocks his tail off. But you start to feel like you've got that group out there that can be dangerous from any side, and the fact that 2 of them are sophomores and doesn't doesn't make you feel bad either.
Correct. Well, and with, Gage got into it last week and caught, I think 4 passes. You had Solomon, I think, had 3 or 4. You had Trace had 6. Our running back position had like 6 catches, so it was spread around. So now you're having to cover every spot of the field. And, we're having to morph a little bit, whereas we were planning to be have some of those guys that are on our D-line, on the O-line. We've had to kind of adjust due to the injuries and making it work. And so we're working into who we are. And so there's going to be more of a mix. And I'm pleased to see us starting to break out in this way.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I was asked too about, hey, what'd you take from Friday night? I said, I think we found ourselves. Mm-hmm. I think we are starting to settle into our identity. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that we didn't have the adversity come. Right. It's just that we overcame it time and time again.
Correct. So speaking of adversity, we have a kick return that we didn't handle, and it goes out at the 2, and so
98 yards away.
It is what it is. And so here we are backed up, and we're in a position. So we're going to try and put their DB in a bind. We've got a 2-beater route and a go route. And so basically, Zaid's going to look at the safety and throw off of him. And so you can watch as he snaps the ball, watch the safety go with Solomon right there. And now it's time to throw it to the outside. And that's what he did. And he put it up in the air. He makes the grab. 46 yards later, we're out of the hole.
One play.
Huge.
Boom, just like that. Now, for Buckeye fans that are spoiled rotten over 30 years and you running this offense because you've been here from the beginning, we've seen a lot of been able to kind of snap our fingers and do that kind of at any time. It's taken a little while this year to get to that spot. There's 10 reasons for that, but we're here.
We're coming into this position, which is, like you say, there's an expectation of, well, just because we did it last year or the year before or whatever, this team has to come into that, and it's coming into it. And so we've got things to work on. We want to be more consistent, but I think we're finding our playmakers. I think we're finding the rhythm that we want to call from. If we can overcome some of the setbacks that we have in some of these areas, you're going to start to see a higher production.
Yeah, I would not like to be Van's defensive coordinator watching this film and going, uh-oh, Gilmer's Gilmer. Here we go again. It was impressive to see the balance, and it was really impressive to see the execution, especially when it matters on your own 2-yard line. Because one play down there, one snap that doesn't go right, one little thing that doesn't go right tilts the whole night.
Everything is, you feel like it's in their favor. When you're able to throw it deep, well, then you can flip that mentality because now you've stretched them and the amount of field they have to cover. So you start making plays like that, it starts evening the playing field out a little bit more. So it was good. So here we get down here later in this drive, and we're now inside the 10. We want to score points. Obviously that's something you say, but in our red zone setting up our objectives, we want to score 100% of the time. Once you get inside the 20, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal, you've got to score points. And so great job here. We're trying to work something to Solomon here. They're in man coverage, and so we get him on the move. And
beautiful play.
Yeah, really opened up. You can see how the routes opened up the crease for him to run in. There was a little bit of confusion on who had who. And so it comes wide open. Zaid just pops it right on him right there in the opening, and you walk in for the touchdown. Really well done, executed well. And then there again, I'm going to give the props to the guys up front who gave us the time to get this done. So watch how each guy has their gap. Running back has the one in between the left guard and the left tackle in case the backer were to blitz. It gets picked up. You've got a nice throwing platform. He can step into it. He's not having to short arm it. Puts it right on him. Touchdown. It looks easy. It was not easy.
There's 10 things that have to happen there.
That's exactly
But
right.
everybody does their job. That's what it looks like.
Then it can end up being an easy looking play. Now here, I'm going to finish up our plays or highlight plays here with the black flag. here they are, Pittsburgh, they're down inside the 5, and it seemed like our guys, anytime they got their backs to the wall, they just rose up. And so you see that here, 4th down, they overload a side, great setup by them, running the jet sweep with number 4, who is really pretty quick. You're going to see Tavian Ector, watch him create. He keeps leverage. That's the key to this play. Remember what we've talked about with these jet sweeps over the past several weeks, where we've lost leverage. Well, you see Tavian here, keep leverage. He gets outside right there. That makes him turn up inside to the other guys coming.
Well, I'll stop you at the beginning of that sentence. You see him there.
Yeah, he's been injured.
Because he has not been there the last 3 weeks.
He's been injured. So that was, you add a person like that who has played in varsity games, who has speed, he's got toughness, and he adds a lot to our team. And so getting him back was a huge boost.
Yeah, that's the same guy in the Pine Tree game that strips that and runs it back 68 yards for a touchdown.
Turns
that whole game around.
That's exactly right. So he turns the play inside, and so now you've got Trey Lee, you've got, I think, Corbin Jones, you've got a handful of guys here, Austin Blakely, and they stop the guy literally. He falls down about a foot from the goal line. That ball, his left arm's in the end zone, but the ball was not in the end zone. And they hold him out. Here they come. They get him down. There's the ball right there. It was the correct call. The ball did not make it in there. So big play, lots of things that we could build on, lots of things that we're going to be working to tighten up. We're on the journey. We're in the middle of it. we're not at the end right now. We're chipping away at things, creating this team. And like I said, every year is different. Every year has its own challenges. This one has had a lot of challenges. But you can't think that, by next Friday, they'll all just be perfect. You have to be able to go, okay, we've got to narrow these down, and we've got to start checking boxes off. And in several weeks, you're going to see us better than we were several weeks ago. Just like last Friday, we were better than 2 weeks ago. So here we go.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I want to say is, congrats to the Pittsburgh guys, and obviously some of our past coaches that are leading the band over there now, because that's a lot different Pittsburgh team than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, John's doing a super job. Brad Britton's over there, and really great energy on that side. You see they've got a direction, and they're creating a culture and all that. So hats off to them.
Yeah, talented group of guys that weren't intimidated because there was a G on the 50-yard line.
No, they played hard.
And that was one of the few times that we played Pittsburgh, I think, in the past where maybe the score wasn't 14-0 when everybody got off the bus. But like you said, boy, did we just find guys that rose up and rose up and rose up and rose up and made plays. And that's good to see. 1-0 is good to see. But as you said, the way the things work out in our district, really the district championship is going to probably be decided in the next 2 weeks. And that starts with the Van Vandals.
Right.
And we got to go over there in Jamboree Week to play them. Jamboree Week a little bit different this year than it has been. Of course, we deal with Jamboree every single year, so you'd think that our guys are used to it by now. But we have a unique situation this week because we don't have school. So we'll get to practice in the mornings just to let all the guys go out and do all of their activities in the afternoon. But we got to go all the way to Van to play them on Friday night.
That's right.
And then on Thursday night, as we saw last year, we had Van at the same time during Jamboree Week. And I remember watching the JV game, and half the guys that were in the first half were gone by the second half. As a matter of fact, you flipped the ninth grade in the JV game.
We did last year.
Sometimes.
We're not this year due to just different people and their schedules. But we don't have a ton of them leaving this year. So, this week it's like no other. It's Christmas time in Gilmer. It's the Jamboree is the Jamboree, and hats off, and we'll celebrate and embrace it. Jeff really did a great job of teaching me on that because we used to get all frustrated. And he's like, you might as well let that go and embrace it and make it work for you. And so that's what we work to do. And our guys, they understand we have work to do. And we have a huge game at another opponent's place. If you can't stay focused this week for a game like this, then you're really not into it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, and
that's the point.
That's my point with the Army of Buckeyes. Hey, we need you out here on Friday night, 7 o'clock start. So if you're that direction, south in Longview or Tyler anyway, hey, just plan to get home late that night, stop back by Van, Texas, because we're going to need the Army of Buckeyes to show up. They are the Van Vandals. They are expecting big things this year. Talented group of guys that are over there, and I expect them to not only be a playoff team from our district, but to be a playoff team that's playing several rounds deep in the playoffs, no matter how it winds up on Friday night.
Right.
So when you look at those top 3 echelon teams, Gilmer, Pleasant Grove, and Van, that's pretty much the class of the district. That's what it's going to come down to this year. And Friday night is a big piece of that puzzle to determine who goes where. The week after that, not that we're looking at that yet, but here come the Pleasant Grove Hawks, and we're going to have to go do that again. So the next 2 weeks is what you do all this work for, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it sets up what the playoff run looks like and sets up the rest of the year. So I thought the timing of the way the guys played on Friday, of everything starting to take form, you know, I think I told a person in church today, I used the analogy of making a sculpture. And I said, sometimes you start with a bigger block, but there comes that moment when you get that one chip away and suddenly you go, wait a minute, that looks like a whatever you're trying to carve.
Right.
I think that's right at the cusp of where we are right now, that we're right there at that moment where we're starting to look like what we're really envisioning and trying to carve.
I agree.
Just a big block of granite we started with at the first of the year.
Correct. And been chiseling.
Ever since.
Been chiseling.
Well, it's going to come to bear on Friday night in Van, Texas, 7 o'clock start. A little bit different. No, not a 7:30 start, 7 o'clock start. Eric says all the time, sometimes I wish that we weren't broadcasting the game so that everybody would come out. So don't make us do that. We will turn the internet off if it takes getting everybody else out. Of course, the Buckeye Army known to travel, and we're going to need you this week. This is a big game. This is a big game. So we look forward to it. We love to say, hey, 1-0. We're kind of accustomed to that, a little bit spoiled. But the tale will be told over the next 2 weeks, and step 1 starts in Van next week. So get out, put your stuff down, get out and support our guys. Our band, obviously, this week is obviously making their competition to go back to Waco to the state competition once again. Van also has a really good band. A lot of people in our district do. So lots of reasons to come out and support these Buckeyes and these young people. Obviously, it's Jamboree on Friday night. Hey, it'll be open on Saturday too. So come on out and support the Buckeyes, 7 o'clock at Van Vandal Stadium. So for myself, Todd Robinson, the head coach and athletic director, Alan Metzel, we will see you on Friday night at 7 o'clock in Van. Go Buckeyes.